What's up everybody, Unrested back again for another movie review. This time it's another manga to movie adaptation. This one is called Yamikin Ushijimakun. And this is a great movie about loan sharks. You wouldn't expect that, but that's what it's about. I would have to say that this movie was so good, in fact, that I would put it up there with my top 5 Japanese movies I've ever watched. This includes The Magic Hour, which I think is the funniest comedy I've ever seen internationally. I mean, the best I've seen in the world. The Magic Hour. If you have not seen that comedy from Japan, you need to rent it now. I know it's got English subtitles, so you have no excuse. Anyway, this movie's not a comedy. This movie is a very serious, well, a little bit serious all the time, about loan sharks in Japan, or really just one loan shark, and that loan shark is Ushijimakun. Ushijimakun is a very majime, or intense personality, who collects on debts. He's very fair, but very brutal when he collects. And the story actually begins with him collecting from a man who borrowed from him in order to throw a party for all his friends. He gets there and is throwing a great party. He's really extravagant, tons of champagne, Dom Perignon, all that great Cristal is there, popping bottles, left and right. It's going well, and then Ushijimakun shows up. Time to collect. Well, guess what? That guy doesn't have the money. At that point, he begins to beg his friends who are at the party for a little bit here and there. You know, maybe you can just give me 500, you can give me 1,000, you can give me 200. His friends turn him down for every bit of the loan. And pretty much he's dragged out of there after being electrocuted by a lamp cord that Ushijimakun sets up and blasts him with, pretty much. It just opens up with that, just to give you an example of how brutal this guy is. It really sets the story, the mood, and the overall character's personality that's gonna follow all the way through this movie. And you might say, well, that sounds really evil. Why is the main character such an evil bastard? Well, he's not really evil. He's just, I would say, neutral. He gives out a loan and says, if you pay it back, great. If you don't, you know what's gonna happen and it's gonna be brutal. He's very fair, I would say lawful neutral if I was gonna give him a D&D alignment. Anyway, moving on, we begin with another character who wants to do kind of the same thing, borrow that money in order to throw a big party. And this type of party this guy wants to throw is pretty common in Japan. A lot of very well-to-do salarymen show up to meet women who want to marry salarymen. Now these women are usually quite attractive, and that's how they are offered up to these salarymen, who in turn, married to them, make them very wealthy wives. So these are pretty common parties. Kampa, they're not Nampa, that's a little bit different. Anyway, this gets set up, he borrows the money, but then many stories start to unfold. And this is where it gets a little bit tricky. So I'm gonna try and give you a little bit of synopsis of each without spoiling the movie too much, and with still reviewing each part of this story. The guy who borrows the money to start the party, in turn gets other people to borrow money from Ushijimakun. Those people, in turn, sue Ushijimakun for collecting in brutal ways. Now, he actually asked them to sue them so they could put him in jail so he would never have to pay them back. In turn, he collects on a little bit of all the money that they borrowed so that he can get an even larger loan from Ushijimakun without suffering the consequences of having to pay back a giant loan. Yeah, that's pretty complex, I know. On top of it, another story is unfolding where a serial killer is hunting down people in Tokyo who have giant loans out. He hunts them down because he knows they're constantly trying to grab at money and pay back those loans. If he kills them after they've collected the money, he can then take the money from their dead bodies and become a very rich man. We follow his character as well. The final end of the movie, it culminates in all these characters meeting up for a showdown. And let me tell you, it is a showdown worth your time. You will be on the edge of your seat seeing how all their stories collide. On top of that, there are even more subplots and minor characters that they follow as well, and they give enough time to all these characters that it's very, very believable. The best thing I think about this movie in general is the fact that nobody is 100% good and nobody is 100% evil. Nobody wakes up in the morning and says, today I'm gonna be evil! That just doesn't happen unless you're insane. So, the best part is these characters are believable. They're lifelike. People in real life are not 100% good. They're not 100% evil. There is no hero of the day. People tend to be on the fence. Some things they're very moralistic about. Other things, they have gray areas. And that's what this movie shows. It is beautifully written, amazing characters. It follows true to the manga on top of it and collides with all those aspects to make an amazing story. I highly recommend check this one out. Yamikin Ushijimakun, The Lone Shark. Check it out.